they don't want to have to endure it. But we got to release it. We don't have to hold on to that bull crap. We don't. So that old memory and those old timelines, my point is, those old timelines have been subduing us and they have been keeping us broken. And this is why we end up sick. We have COVID, the pandemic, that crisis was a hot stinking mess. Now I do understand, me being who I am, I understand what the purpose of COVID was for. And that's a whole other story. However, what COVID did, it brought sickness into our hearts and minds. It was a spiritual awakening. So, what I'll say is, so for people such as myself in the community of spiritual awakening 20 years ago, when YouTube was in everyone's face, then I was the weirdo. Nobody was ready for the things that the people, that myself and people in the community that I had connected with were speaking about. People were not ready. It wasn't enough. But so at that time, we were labeled and looked at as the black sheep. But now it looks like what COVID did, it was a mass awakening and it turned it into something, from my perception, as a trend. And so many people, as they began to tap into their intuitive muscle and learning how to even find a book such as Queen of Fools and all of that, they kind of started to lessen the integrity of spirituality. This is just my perception. Just my perception. Everybody everybody learns when it's time for them to learn. However, when things become trendy, that muscle becomes deflated. And for whatever reason, I'm hearing the word arrogance. And so it starts to look more arrogant. It starts to look like people are feeling themselves and all. People even assumed, and I understand why. Because people assumed, when I started to tap into my intuitive muscle, people who were not ready to understand that it's real, they started to feel that I was feeling myself. I did talk a lot. I was sharing. I still talk a lot now, but I don't. I don't talk a lot. I talk when I'm on YouTube and such and thus. That's when I communicate because I'm sharing now. But when I was first learning, that school that school lesson then is deep. Spirituality is deep. And you want to share and you want to let everyone know what's really going on. But people are not ready. So they're afraid because, first of all, they feel that you can see everything that's going on inside of them. And you can see for the most part. However, that message gets a little wobbly sometimes. It's supposed to, because you're not supposed to fully know what anyone is thinking. Like, you're not. However, it happens. But my point in saying all of this is, because spirituality had become so much of a trend, I think it's kind of cleaning itself up a bit now. More people are realizing that all of that nonsense with the divine masculine and divine feminine was crossing everything up. And I won't say everybody. I'm just on a different side of YouTube now because my spirit woman is desiring something else. That nonsense still may be going on. It still may be some irregular messages out there. Nobody want to hear all that though. Clean yourself up. Get rid of all that dirt, that muck, that danger, that detriment. Stop holding on to mass production of sickness, illegality, loss and confusion, chaos. Because I know I've gone all over the place at this point. The point is to stop holding on to degradation, slop, mess, retarding yourselves. That's what I was trying to say when I mentioned COVID and the pandemic initially. What it did was bring on retardation in so many formulas, not just mental retardation. Retardation is something being stuck, held hostage, confiscated, just not able to move. Is and the labeling of it at some point in the beginning, it was being labeled as honey. Ain't nothing sweet about it. However, I understand why it's labeled as honey, because it becomes an addiction. And so it becomes something that you begin to hold on to. And you're okay with it. But you should not be okay with holding on to other people's sickness and patterns and things that belong to other people. Let that stuff go. You become diseased. We want to be disease free. So, all right, I just said a whole lot of too much. It's almost 15 minutes. All right, y'all. Sis will be back. I love y'all. I just wanted to Share that quickly. Get the book. It will begin to help you on your journey. The book suggests that you do the lessons as such and thus. But for the most part, many of us do not because we're just ready to start working on whatever need to be healed. Whatever muscle at that time need to be healed, let's do it. But get the book so you can at least start your journey because this is some good stuff, some good data. And, it's just time for us to regulate our systems. It's time to regulate the system and get it back right, so we can go forward because it's just not good. It's not a good lookout. All right. I love y'all. Y'all stay up, be peace, be easy, be balanced. I'll see y'all in the next one.